Oh wait, before we start though, are we going pit stop vibes? Is that the
Oh
vibe we're
yeah,
doing?
it's like Grecian pit stop. And do you speak Greek? Do you?
No.
That might be a problem. I don't know.
Oh
Let me
god,
just
don't do
rewrite
this to
all of
me.
what I had planned. Oh my god, hey! Welcome back to my theatre-themed YouTube channel. My name is Mickey Joe, and I am obsessed with all things theatre, which is why I have been particularly excited about Mamma Mia, I Have a Dream on ITV. This is a brand new musical theatre TV casting series where they are trying to find the next actors who will play Sophie and Sky in the West End production of Mamma Mia as it enters its 25th year at the Novello Theatre in London. And while this is taking place on our screens over the next few weeks, I will be here on social media recounting each episode, doing a little bit of recap, review, and analysis with a different guest every week. And this week, because it was Sophie week, I am joined by pillar of femininity and beauty, Ellie Talks Theatre, also from YouTube. Hello, Ellie Talks Theatre.
What an intro! Oh my god, I feel
know.
honoured. And I am here because trans women are what? Women.
I mean, since you went to the effort of also wearing the dungarees, giving us a blue moment,
Yeah, and the sparkles. I went all the way.
you have now watched the first two episodes of Mamma Mia, I Have a Dream. We're going to be talking about all things episode 2. So for the first time this week, we had an elimination. We got to see a lot this week. We got to see all of the Sophies performing individually. So we really got to scrutinize their talents. We got an acting mini challenge, but we're going to recap, review, and analyze all of this in this week's episode.
I'm very curious if our opinions on the format of the show are going to match up as well. Because I have some opinions.
Well, let's talk about this because you, I don't think, grew up with these shows in the same way that I did, because through no fault of your own, you are young. And so what have your early thoughts been about this TV show?
I've always felt the concept a little bit weird to me. Like casting on live TV. I've always felt it a weird concept. However, how they're handling it with this seems to be quite well. They've narrowed it down. We don't get the really awkward, cringy audition thing. But the one thing this show has been doing a bit weirdly is the reality TV show aspect. It feels like we're not getting the clear storylines, and when we're getting them, they're coming right before the songs. It's like they're kind of forcing in the reality TV aspect, kind of because they have to. And because of that, and because they're coming so late into the game, I feel like I don't really know these people as well as some other reality TV shows, or even with a couple of episodes that I watched of the Dorothy one, I don't feel like I know these girls that well.
So let's recap everything that happened in this week's episode. We started with an interesting little behind-the-scenes moment of showing Zoe Ball filming in her car. And this has been a little bit of the hallmark of the series so far, as they're kind of pulling back the curtain on how they're producing the whole thing, because we're seeing the camera crews, and every time they finish one of those big group numbers, you hear someone yell cut, and you see a sort of a wide shot of them all celebrating. And I think that goes some of the way towards trying to make it feel a bit more real.
And I love that. She's a lover of camp. And I don't think there is anything more camp than seeing Zoe Ball's car on just this giant truck thing. I was just like, yes.
Can you imagine driving past and you're just seeing Zoe Ball just talking animatedly to a camera, pretending to drive a car on the back of another car?
I feel like this is Zoe Ball's life. Honestly,
she needs one of those bumper stickers that says, "My other car is a car on top of a car that's not really a car."
Who needs a driver's license when you can do what Zoe Ball does?
This is what we've been needing, Ellie Talks Theatre.
Yes.
Then we could film all of our videos on the way to events. Perfect. Done.
That's a new way to vlog.
Then we went into another one of these group numbers, and it was Dancing Queen, which always, fan favourite. I will say, and I don't know how much time they had to put these together, and they're just a little bit of a flavour introduction. They're the amuse-bouche of the episode. It's not the real meat of what we're doing. They're not getting judged on these. But the fact that we didn't have the lower harmony on "you can dance," as in going "you can dance, you can jive," they were just all on the one melodic line. I don't know how I felt about that.
I think they should all go home because of that.
Every single one of them.
So then I'll be Sophie. There you go. That won't be a disaster.
But we had the girls highlighted and then joined by the boys. Did anyone jump out to you in that opening number? Did anyone particularly catch your eye?
I think they did really well at like blending as a group. I feel like that's the nice thing about the big opening group numbers, is that it's not really a moment to like really pick out one. They do a really good job at giving everyone that kind of moment going between everyone.
You know who did grab me in that opening number? The backing dancers. Can we discuss the backing dancers?
Oh yes. Yeah, we can.
They were amazing. They were serving in that opening number, doing a great job. So shout out to the backing dancers, who are also all, many of them, West End performers from various West End shows, who've also gone over to Greece and are a big part of making this TV show happen. They're doing a great job week in, week out.
But none of them will be Sophie or Sky, so...
So we then had these dual breakfasts where we had all of the participants, all of the hopeful Sophie and Skies were getting breakfast together in their slightly Love Island Grecian villa kind of a setup. And then we had the judges getting breakfast together. Alan Carr was getting attacked by bugs.
Typical Greece things.
I'm sure. Have you been to Greece ever?
No.
No, neither
No,
have
I
I.
have not.
I don't even...
I went to the battlefields in France, and I've been to Germany twice.
The extent of my understanding of Greece is, and I'm sure it's the same, but Mamma Mia the Party at the O2.
I haven't even done that. I haven't even done Mamma Mia at the Party.
Well, you should do that first, because that will get you ready for Greece.
To be fair, I've seen the film. I've seen the film, but I haven't seen the musical on stage. It's one of the last... I've got 3 theatres left in the West End that I still need to visit. And the Novello for Mamma Mia is one of them.
Do you know I haven't seen Mamma Mia since 2007? People are really going to, and quite rightly so, question our credentials for doing this week.
I'm sorry, but I can dance, I can jive, I'm having the time of my life. I feel like I've got all the credentials. Thank you.
Those are, in fact, the 3 things that they screen for. So we found out that it was going to be Sophie week, that the boys could rest on their laurels this week and go and do push-ups. I don't know what men do. And that the girls were each going to do a workshop and sing a solo vocal performance that was really going to have them be a lot more sort of exposed to scrutiny than they were last week. And that this week, someone would be eliminated, because in that week 1, and quite rightly so, I think nobody got eliminated because we didn't really know enough. We didn't get to see enough of them as individuals. It wouldn't have felt right. And there were no real weak links. But for this week, a Sophie would be going home, which is, I'm glad they did it this way because we were really able to focus on the Sophies, but it does kind of feel a bit brutal that it wasn't a pair being eliminated. It was just going to be one person who was going to have to go home first, and no one wants to go home first.
I mean, you don't want to see people go home too quickly. So by separating them in this way, by doing it like this, you still get that moment and that time to get to know these people. Although... If I was the girls at this moment, I would be so livid. Imagine how much easier the guys got off. Like they get a whole other week to just chill and relax. Like it was just like thrown on them. There was no like spin wheel. there was no coin flip.
But they did have the cushion of TV and Film's Amanda Seyfried.
Yes.
Who had recorded a video message. I wonder if she recorded it on cassette tape. Do you like that? No, because she was cassette in the film of the other film that she did in when she was, because she was in Mamma Mia, but she was also
Mickey, don't
also
force
in Les
it.
Mis.
Come on.
I literally put that in my notes to make that joke. So then we had these acting workshops with the judges. And when I say with the judges, they were literally with the judges, because they had to act alongside Amber Riley and Samantha Barks while Jessie Ware and Alan Carr were watching from above. My favourite line of the week, my favourite Alan Carr joke, was that Jessie Ware was the Greek goddess Yakult.
Yeah, I like this element of it. I really enjoy the format of like having these workshops. I just wish they actually showed us the full clips of them doing it, especially because in the judging they were talking about these workshops like we've actually got to see all of them, but they only showed us like a little taste of them. It's like we didn't even get to see Desmonda finish hers.
I have an editing curiosity, which is as soon as they announced it was going to be an acting workshop, they played the Watch Me Dance the Night Away, which to me just I feel as though that's a song about dancing.
Watch me act the night away.
Now, the biggest surprise of the first week for me was when it started raining on this beautiful Greek landscape. And I did notice, as they were waiting to do their acting challenge, I saw a lot of cardigans, Ellie.
No.
I don't think it's the sunny tropical destination it's been advertised as. Not to @Jet2 Holidays here, who already definitely if they weren't sponsoring these videos before, they're definitely not now. But
I mean, if I hear that Jess Glynn song one more time, I am flying to this island and burning it down. I swear.
let's just take this opportunity to fully burn any bridge we may have had with Jet2 Holidays. Did you enter the competition?
No.
I think we should. Although it was like £2.
No, if we post it, it's free. If we, I'll post my entry.
And they did this acting challenge. And like you said, we didn't see the full version. We got a sense of who was doing well. Did anyone stand out to you in this? Obviously, we saw a couple of people struggling. We saw Desmonda kind of struggling a little bit. We saw Stevie had to ask for one line. Maddie had to ask for a few lines.
Yeah, I feel like it was very heavily edited. Like, it was clear who they wanted you to like and dislike. But do you know who really shined to me? And I was quite surprised. Leah.
Oh.
I thought Leah did really well.
Leah did do really well.
Yeah, she had like that charm and she had like that excitement. And the thing about it was so endearing. And I think that's a great trait to have in a Sophie. Like, you want to root for this character. You want to see her succeed. And she brought you in.
I thought Leah was natural and fun. And that's something. If you can be fun with this material, that's what this show is. It's a fun show. It is ultimately not Shakespeare.
The other one I liked is Maisie. I thought Maisie had a really nice build up to the ... She kind of like whispered as well. I thought it was like a really nice like twist on the material. I enjoyed that.
You know, I mean, so many people, like we said, 25 years, so many people have done this material. If you can find something that feels fresh and make it sound new and make it sound original, then that's the mark of a good actress.
Yeah, there you go.
So then we had these vocal moments. And if Desmonda had struggled in the acting workshops, she made up for it with her vocal performance. She was giving you Lady Gaga, A Star Is Born. Was A Star Born? Ellie Talks Theatre.
Absolutely. Now, I will be making a special segment for this episode because I've given everyone a rating on their outfits.
Are you talking fashions? Okay,
I am talking fashion today. Desmonda came out the gate with probably my favorite outfit of the night. Like,
it was
the blue
beautiful
dress,
color on her.
It was stunning. Yeah, complimented her skin. Oh my god, it was beautiful. And then she sang, and I was like, girl. Yeah. Every single other Sophie back in that little hut thing, they were ready to leave the island. They were on the boat. They were saying sayonara.
Quaking in their sandals. Yeah. No, I think if Desmonda came across as one of the weaker actors, she may be the strongest vocalist. Do you know my favorite moment? She knew exactly, as she was ending that song, she ran forwards before that belt. And I don't know if that was staged for her or if she was just giving camp, but I was like, I love a run forward and belt moment.
And can we talk about that backup dancer?
Yeah, we can.
Wow.
we can discuss professionally and critically, and yes.
Strong start.
She got a standing ovation.
Deserved.
Next up, we had Stephanie. And what I liked about this part of the program is we finally got to learn a little bit more about them. This is what had been missing in that first week. Now that there's a little bit more space, that we're only having 7 of them in this episode, and we're not too worried about the boys this week, we got to finally learn more about them. So with Desmonda, we learned that she's Indonesian, that she wants to kind of represent for that culture on a West End stage, and she had a good narrative storyline, which was she said she had learned more about musical theatre by watching movie musicals, including Mamma Mia. That's a story that writes itself if she goes on to win this.
Now that's reality TV, baby.
But who else has a full circle moment? Stephanie, who has Greek Cypriot heritage. And so being there in Greece and kind of like, I mean, this has never been a story about Greek characters. expatriate immigrants, basically, in Mamma Mia. I mean, they run a local business there, so they're contributing to the economy. But it would be that would be nice for other reasons as well. Basically, I enjoyed. So she sang "What a Feeling" from Flashdance.
Camp.
And never before have I learned so many of the lyrics to that song.
I mean, you're not wrong.
It takes a musical theatre performer with trained diction to finally make you understand what pop lyrics were. So what were your thoughts on the fashion?
I'm a big fan of the little lilac jacket. I thought it was a nice combo. I like the belt. The belt was bringing that outfit together. Was it the strongest outfit of the night? No, but it was like, it worked for her vibe. And I like the belt. It was a strong 7. It was a strong 7.
Oh, there's numbers as well. I do hasten to add,
did I not give Desmonda one? Desmonda was a 9.
Was Desmonda a 9?
No, Desmonda was a 9.
This was not actually a runway presentation, and they were presumably styled by the same team. Like, there's nothing to indicate they chose any of these outfits for them. So, did you make notes on anything other than styling?
Excuse me. Okay. But the top line is the fashion every time.
So with Stephanie, if I can circle us back to the vocal performance.
Maybe we need to introduce this. Let me do the fashion and then we can talk about the performance.
Okay, we've worked halfway through this video. We've worked out our format. That's good. She was doing a dancier number. Like, Desmonda was doing a solid job of standing and singing. And Stephanie was giving you dance, because it's What a Feeling. It's Flashdance. You can't just stand there. You have to either dance or weld. You have to pick one. So she was dancing around. The vocal did sound, comparatively to that first performance, it sounded a little bit thinner. But I also think it had a bit of a Sophie quality to it, because Sophie needs to sound youthful. And my issue with some of these vocals, and I'll bring it up again, going forwards, some of them sound a little too mature, and their tone is a little too rounded and adult. And I want a sort of this bright, youthful quality in a Sophie.
I really enjoyed her performance. I thought she did really well. I felt like we've got to judge these kind of slightly differently because they haven't given them all like a dance number. They've given some of them rock numbers, which I will judge a little bit strangely later, but like we can't like put Desmonda and Stephanie's performance next to each other and judge them on the same merits. I think for a dancing number, she did really, really well. I will say towards like the end of the song, it felt like she was like holding something back when she wasn't being given the high kicks. But I think what is there is that element of Sophie. She has that Sophie quality to her, which makes me really excited to see her do more of like a ballady number in a future week.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, it's because they're doing different types of songs. It is very apples and oranges, but at the same time, when you go to the fruit market, you still have to pick a fruit.
There you go. And if we are picking fruits, clearly I'm the best one to pick.
Then we had Leah, and we got to see, excitingly, a snippet of the open call process. We got to see some of the audition footage, which was another thing I'd said I wanted to see last week.
I don't think I needed to see like the full thing, but I do like seeing little hints of them. I would have liked to see some of that in there, like in last week. Yeah. I don't think we need to see like the people who didn't get through, but having that like little hint of their journey, it was really nice to have.
So
yeah, right. There you go. Exactly that.
So Leah this week spoke about being a plus size contestant and that kind of representation and what it would mean to her to be able to sort of break down those barriers and be a plus size Sophie, because there's nothing within the context of this role that dictates that Sophie has to be a certain size or a certain shape. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's so important that we see different types of people in these roles. I mean, when a show has been on for 25 years, you can afford a plus size Sophie. Like, I feel like people bring themselves to a lot of these roles, and having someone who is plus size would add a different dynamic to that. I think people have a very clear vision of what a Sophie is. Like, we're always thinking we're thinking of the film. We're thinking of like the blonde, like petite, but the beauty of theatre is that you can get all of these different interpretations that are all so validly Sophie. I mean, as a trans person in theatre, I barely see myself on a stage. I barely see these roles that are determined to be one way, set as one way, open themselves up to different types of casting. I'm never going to sit down and say that there can never be a plus size Sophie, there can never be a trans Sophie, there can never be like a different type of Sophie. When it's been on for 25 years, we can have someone different if they have the Sophie vibe.
And at the same time, what is the point of even doing this TV show if you're just going to cast two people out of drama school who look and sound exactly like the last people? You could have just cast them normally. You didn't have to fly to Greece to find the same thing. It's like you know what it's like. It's like going on a European holiday and getting McDonald's. No shame to the people that do. But it's like, you know what?
Now, excuse me. Okay, if you're exclusively getting McDonald's, yes, I would agree.
Is this where I've lost you? I feel like
you've got to try a different McDonald's once. Like, you do it for a lunch. You don't do it for like an extravagant dinner. That's when you do. Sure. That's when you do the thing. But you can have a taste once or twice. And I feel like, you know, if we're going to use that metaphor, I'm going to take it. You know, for the last 25 years, we've been going on holiday and trying all the different McDonald's. It's time to have our special Greek restaurant and try the local food.
I wonder what they do in a Greek McDonald's.
My favorite thing, I think it was in Germany, where I got like a chicken McNugget box, and they had like the proper like chicken wings with like the bones, and I was like, what is this?
Wow.
See, it's an experience. Just
possible we've gone a little off topic again.
We seriously have.
So next then, we had... Now, I've been affectionately referring to her as Tall Sophie because this keeps coming up, how she's a little bit taller, and that's been a challenge for her in musical theatre. Hold on.
We didn't even talk about Leah's performance.
Haven't talked about Leah's.
I was about to say,
talk about Leah's?
Hold on. No, we didn't.
Or fashion.
She did Somebody to Love.
Yeah, you go first.
We got so
Leah's
distracted on McDonald's, Mickey. We can't do this.
Leah's fashion, then. What did you think?
Okay, Leah's fashion. This just was so cute. This was something that I would genuinely wear. I just wanted big earrings. I don't know. I feel like with that dress, big earrings would have slayed. I didn't notice that. I don't think any of them,
because she didn't have big earrings.
I don't think any of them were wearing earrings, so it's probably like a safety thing. But it didn't lose her many points. She got a solid 8 out of 10 for her outfit. She slayed.
Now, she was singing Somebody to Love.
Weird.
Which was
weird song choice. I didn't like it when they gave Queen songs to the Dorothys, and I don't like them giving Queen songs to the Sophies. I mean, it was the comment that the director made after, where it's like, we never had a rocky Sophie, and it's probably because this is not We Will Rock You.
I'm trying to think if there's ever really been any overlap between the actresses who have played Sophie and anyone who's done like Scaramouche in We Will Rock You, and none are springing to mind.
No. But what I will say is that she performed it really well. Like, if we are talking about the performance separately, great, fantastic. Was the song choice maybe to stop us thinking that she might be a Sophie? I don't know. Oh. Maybe a bit of sabotage is happening. I don't know whether they got to pick their songs or whether they were given to them for them.
Oh, I doubt they got to pick their songs. You are very conspiratorial today, though.
Oh, yes. I mean, this is a reality TV show. Everything is produced. Everything is planned. I've seen enough Drag Race to know that this is what's going down. But if they were trying to sabotage her, they did a bad job because, oh my God, her vocals. Was it Sophie? Not this song. But was it incredible? Yes. Yes.
I wrote vocally not a Sophie, but placement on that high note, though. I couldn't tell you retrospectively which one, but there was one.
I just wrote the word butter. So.
Butter.
Sugar.
Butter. I like that, because she'd already mentioned in the first episode, she was a Glee fan and an Amber Riley fan. They had her doing a song from like early Glee days that Amber had been a part of. And I, for one, am grateful they didn't have her sing And I Am Telling You from the end of the first season of Glee. Because if you thought Somebody to Love was a bad choice, I'm here to tell you that that would be worse. So Esme, who I've affectionately referred to as Tall Sophie, because it's been mentioned a couple times how she's a little bit taller, and how as a girl in the industry, as a woman, I should say, in the industry, as an actress.
Well, she's just a girl.
Oh, she was, because of the song. I was waiting for you to say not yet a woman, but no, she did perform the song I'm just a girl. There you go. So she did that number, and I like that they explained to the judges that she was going to start inside the villa, which ostensibly was just not for their benefit to any extent. And they were just feeling like, you won't be able to see this. It's not important.
It's okay. She'll come out soon.
I thought she owned the hell out of this number and all the mad stuff they had her doing and running around and lying down on a wall. I mean, the risk assessment must have been extensive.
But do you know what I don't think she owned? The fashion.
Okay.
I don't think it was awful. But I don't know. I was looking at it like, I wouldn't wear this. I feel like it needed something else. It needed maybe like a blue belt, something a bit more flashy, because it was very white. But performance-wise, I thought she did really well. She was energy. They had this girl running to and fro. Like Desmonda was watching this going, I got off easy.
I know. I'd be fascinated to know like her step count afterwards. I don't know if she was wearing a Fitbit like
in
as
the
an anklet
millions
or something.
And I thought she had so much confidence. I thought her vocals were so beautiful. And again, I thought she had a very Sophie vibe to her.
Samantha Barks said the same thing.
Yes.
She said that she had Sophie energy, which I think is probably the biggest compliment anyone has had really this far.
But I will say that again, we probably have to remember that she is exactly the look of a typical Sophie.
The judges picked up on something else in her performance that I agreed with, which was it was theatricalized.
Yeah.
And I think it is, for this show, it's better than the others for them to sing pop songs, because when they were auditioning for like Oliver and The Sound of Music and The Wizard of Oz, it was odd. It was a little incompatible for them to be singing pop music. For this one, because it's Mamma Mia, it works more. And the task is, can you take this pop song and tell us a story? Can you theatricalize it? Next, we had Stevie, who...
Fashion. I'm coming in here with the fashion, because this was my least favorite of the night, fashion wise.
No, I loved what they'd done with her hair.
No, her hair was great. But fashion. We're talking fashion here.
It's not a hair runway. In fact, it's not a runway, but we're still...
Look,
here we are regardless.
Okay, I am a Drag Race girly. If I can't judge the outfits, what am I here for? I just didn't like the combo. The glitter top with the check shirt. What? I didn't like it. It literally, if you got rid of the check shirt around her waist, I would have been fine. Because she was glam from the waist up and gay lumberjack from the waist down. Like, it was not cohesing. That runway was a solid 4 out of 10.
Some of us live with that duality. Some of us live with the glam/gay lumberjack duality. That's how I navigate my everyday.
Yes. So far, Stevie has been one of those girls who's kind of blended in a bit for me. I feel like
it took me until this episode to realize she was Scottish.
Yeah, like I feel like out of all of the girls, she's been the most under-edited. So it was really in this episode that she had to step up, and I don't think she did. I will go as far to say that she was probably my least favorite of the night.
Well, the judges did say the same thing. It's difficult because they really showed... I think Stevie stumbled twice this week. She stumbled once briefly in the acting, and she stumbled once in the vocals, where it was a placement issue, where she wasn't sure if she was giving it head voice or giving it a little bit of a mix, because they're singing pop, and a lot of the other girls who had been praised were doing these cute little mixy moments, and I think she was kind of struggling with how to marry her musical theatre training to the pop song. I think we saw her experiencing that struggle in the context of this song.
I think she looked a little bit lost on that stage as well. It's like she had all of these backup dancers behind her, and still my eye was just kind of going to the backup dancers. Like, I don't know. I think she has this element to her, but she's really sweet. And I think that goes for her. That goes along with the Sophie vibe really well. It just was not the strongest of the evening, especially after the past four, who were all really strong in their own right, going after all four of them. It really did highlight how she struggled in this challenge a bit.
Next up, we had Maddie, one of the youngest at just 20 years old. I think she's an Erdang grad. Do you want to talk about fashion?
I will first say, it is so weird that like most of these girls are the same age as me, and I'm like, what am I doing with my life? I'm not I'm not on a Sophie Search reality TV show. What am I doing?
You're not even close to Greece.
I'm not even close to Greece. I'm in the UK. I'm on Turf Island, baby. Like, this is not slaying.
Jet 2 holidays. Get in touch.
I love Maddie. It was the moment at the breakfast when she was asking for the croissant and she just goes, yeah, that whopper. I was like, I am here for her and I will apologize for this girl till kingdom come. I love her. I adore her to bits. She has that personality.
I could see the two of you being friends.
Oh yeah, we would vibe. I mean, Maddie, if you are watching this, I want to be your bestie. I want to be your best friend. I think her outfit was adorable. Just as adorable as I find her. Like, it was a little bit simple, but it was like perfect. It's perfectly her vibe. I gave it a solid 8 out of 10.
So I actually thought that there was a tremendous sweetness to her voice that was very Sophie. From the beginning, I've thought there is a Sophie there that I could really see quite early on, but she'd be a really new and exciting and fresh and different take on it, which is exactly what this TV show is about. Samantha Barks did not enjoy the performance as much because she wanted more acting from it. She highlighted a couple of lyrics where she said the acting, there wasn't really a connection to the lyric, and she wanted more of an acting moment.
I feel like that was a fair criticism. I will say that was very fair. There were moments within that, but I feel like that kind of criticism is more like this is something for next time. Like, it's a way to build it up. These Sophies, like a lot of them, they're all so talented. Even though we're like picking at the hairs here, like every single girl on this show, every single boy on this show, which I'm sure we're going to see more and more of them next week, they are all amazingly talented.
The one thing I will say on Maddie's behalf is that it's very difficult to convey emotional depth and acting with a very light song like Say a Little Prayer for You. Like, there's not a lot for her to work with as an actress. And are you ready for a historical fun fact?
I'm so ready.
So I don't think this is the only one of those songs that's been used on one of these shows before, but I remember specifically Say a Little Prayer for You was used on I'd Do Anything, the series To Find a Nancy, which Samantha Barks, she was on that series. Ashley was given that song and was also criticised. I don't think they enjoyed her performance of that. But again, like, don't keep using this song in musical theatre casting shows if it's not giving anyone the range to give a proper musical theatre audition. Because next up we had I Dreamed a Dream, full of acting opportunities and musical theatre depth, and they gave this one to Maisie. Now, this is the closest thing we have. I mean, this was the only really true musical theatre song of the night.
Okay, let's talk about fashion first, because I thought she looked gorgeous. Like, the long flowing dress, 8 out of 10 solidly. I was quite surprised because I didn't love this one. I think I Dreamed a Dream is a song that, as you said, it's so full of these moments to really take it slowly, to really breathe into those lyrics. There's so much heartbreak. There's so much power behind that. But I felt like often Maisie wasn't really connecting to the song. There was a lot of moments where she kept looking down. And I mean, that's the Wrong Les Mis song. That's the Wrong Les Mis song, girl. You're doing the wrong one. That's the opening. You've already gone past that.
I agree that she was looking down. I think there's a lot of raw talent there. The fact that, you know, she hasn't trained as much of the rest of these. She said she's done a lot of community theatre, which I love. I enjoyed that when she was doing a little bit of a voiceover talking head moment, she was like recounting some of the shows she'd done that did not correspond whatsoever with the footage they were showing simultaneously. That was clearly like The Wizard of Oz when she said something else, like very different shows. Love that she's done that. And I think she's a huge talent, and I hope she manages to chase this dream and does get to perform professionally, because she is very talented. But it's those little things that you would learn on a 3-year musical theatre course, because she was looking down while she's performing. Whether she was a little bit nervous, I mean, they put her last and they gave her a very big song. Yeah. The other thing is in intentioning the lyrics and singing it as though it's things you really mean. And she kept breathing halfway through a vocal line. And in song performances, a breath is a comma, and it sort of distorts the meaning of the phrase.
I feel like this is probably one that just didn't carry as much on camera.
So then prepare yourself we need to talk about the elimination decision. And we
Okay.
now know there's no sing-off, there's no bottom two, there's no swan song.
I need to talk about this because I literally wrote a thing saying I do wish there was another way for them to fight for their lives. Again, I don't know if that's just me being like, oh, this has to be Drag Race, because that's like the reality TV show that I really enjoy.
I should stress they're not being killed.
Yeah. But I feel like it's such a shame to lose someone on a reality TV show, especially when you get later into the process, when you've got to know them a lot better. And look, my favorite went home this week. My favorite went home. And I'm mad about that. And we will talk about it. But again, I don't think the person who went home was the weakest of the night.
So Maddie was eliminated.
I hard disagree.
And-
I don't think she was the weakest of the night. I don't think she was the second weakest of the night. I think she was the third weakest of the night.
I think in conjunction with the acting challenge, where I think she probably struggled the most.
I don't think she did though. It was clearly from what they were editing, Desmonda was struggling the most in the acting.
Do you think so?
Yeah,
Oh.
because they didn't even show us Desmonda succeeding at all, but they showed us moments. I think it was later. I think it was during her little intro bit where they showed Maddie having some really nice choices with the acting.
But Maddie was first to go home and has now been eliminated from the show. Is there a show or a role in musical theatre that you think would be a great fit for her? You know, she's not going to be the next Sophie.
Well, she should have been.
What might Maddie be able to do next once you have finished picketing Mamma Mia for this decision?
See, she's got so much charm about her personality. You need something that's going to be similar to that.
You think she'd be fun in 6?
If she is so Anne Boleyn. She is so Anne Boleyn. Come on, yes. I think she'd be a great Sophie understudy. If they are going to do something like that, she would be a fantastic Sophie understudy.
They've done it in the past.
Yeah.
They have done that in the past. So then just like as a piece of television, like reviewing this week's episode, and for you, I guess, the series so far, what are your thoughts? Like we've said a few things already, but like areas where it might improve, things you've been enjoying. I'll start by saying one little thing I did like, even though the boys were not present this week, I liked that they were sort of ringside for the performances and cheered them on when they came off. There's good wholesome vibes on this one. It feels less competitive. It feels more like a bake-off where it's like this group and this family, and you see the judges working more closely with them than in previous shows, and they're really trying to help and support them. It makes these decisions feel harder, but I think it's nicer in the process.
Yes. I think they've definitely improved on the wholesomeness of it. Watching Over the Rainbow, it was very much like there was a harshness to it and there was a disconnect. Whereas this, it does have that charm and energy. I think the one thing it just needs to focus a bit more on is storylines. I feel like we need to know these girls a bit more. Because again, that is the beauty of a show like this, is getting to know the actors behind the roles a bit more.
Yeah, and like performances are great, but it's personalities that we connect to. You're right.
And I do enjoy the kind of the structure of it, how I'll say, like having the workshop, then the performance. I think that's a nice way to do it. So you get like a little bit of both worlds.
I mean, I guess presumably we're going to get Sky Week next week.
Yes.
And we'll get to meet those guys. And then I don't know, further on, I think at some point it's going to become important to see them paired up, to see like chemistry between different performers, because you can be the best Sophie, but if you don't gel with any of the Skies, then I don't know what to tell you.
That's a really important part about casting as well, is making sure that everyone connects as a group. Because you've got to have these relationships be authentic, and you've got to have these relationships be believable.
Do you have a favourite judge so far, and why is it Samantha Barks?
No, it's Amber Riley. My favorite judge is Amber Riley.
Is yours Amber Riley? Go on, tell me why.
She's truthful to them. She's very like charm, but she's giving the advice in such a constructive way that I really do appreciate. And also she looks stunning every time she walks out. Girl, that Gunner's fashion. It was, I don't know if it was this week. I think it was this week where she had the kind of, I think it was like a tie-up top that was like orange and pink coloured. It was stunning. Goal. Also, Alan Carr. Alan Carr is my second favourite. I love Alan Carr. I think he's hilarious.
He's so funny.
I
do just really appreciate and value Samantha Barks for being able to talk about the vocals and the acting and the marriage of the two.
I will say this team of judges are really, really strong. I like how we don't have a mean judge as well. I feel like you don't need that. You can be constructive without having to be mean, you know. And I hope I've been constructive about being mean. Please don't hate me.
No, you've been horrible. You've been so.
Oh, she's such a horrible little witch.
You were like, none of them have earrings, so I hate them.
And then again, I'm only judging 1 week of clothes. I'm not on every week of this podcast.
You do. Do we need to have you back on to do the weather?
Oh my god, yes, please. Just in every single week,
check-in.
I will film my own reaction to the outfits of the week and give you like my favorite as like a small separate. I would fully do that if you want me to.
I know you would. Listen, comment below if you think we need Ellie's fashion segments on forthcoming episodes of Mamma Mia, I Have a Dream recaps.
I have a dream, and it's to judge the fashion in every single week of this show.
I did see some feedback from the first episode that the stakes didn't really feel high enough. And I wonder if, like, in terms of how it aired, it would have been better to release these 2 episodes back to back. Because I felt like it took until episode 2 for us to start getting to know the girls. And then we got an elimination. And I think now it feels like the stakes are a little bit higher. It's a little bit more meaningful. And we got to get to know them, which is what was missing in that first episode.
I think that's a great idea. I mean, I watched these episodes back to back. So I did what you're suggesting. Yeah, I had that experience, and it did flow really well because I got to know them a little bit, and then I got to see someone go home, like straight back to back. I think that would have been a strong way to do it. I 100%.
For example, do you feel as connected to the boys as you do to the girls?
Not overly.
No, and I think that's probably because they haven't had those like segments yet where we don't really know who they are. We don't know who they are.
It's like I feel like, and in the first episode I felt this, like there was a couple of people I was picking out being like, oh, I like them, or oh, and like I know that Desmonda is in Aladdin, so I kind of vaguely know about Desmonda, and like a couple of people, but I didn't really feel connected to them as I do now after watching it, and also #Justice for Maddie.
#Justice for Maddie. Should we do a little bit of a power ranking then?
Yeah. So are we doing like a ranking of like our favorites of the episode, basically?
You can tell me your favorites. I've kind of taken into account it's my favorites, it's who's right for the role, and it's who I think is in a good position based on like the judges' feedback and like who I think is like from most likely to win to least likely to win. That's
my list is literally just on what I saw today and their performance alone. I haven't really judged the workshop, just their performance alone, kind of a rough order of who I liked. So
let's start with that then, and then we can build on that.
I think the strongest of the week performance-wise was Desmonda. Like, she went up first and she slayed it. Like, the power behind it, I feel like
if there's one thing about Desmonda Cathabel, she's going to sell a vocal.
Yes. And god damn she did. And even coming off of that workshop where she struggled with the acting, her acting through song in the performance was spot on. I think the second best of the week for me, while not being quite Sophie, was Leah. I think Leah had the second best vocals. I thought she slayed it. Again, another one who could, like, if we're going to talk about Riri Rock You, she would be a great understudy killer queen.
Who is your number 3 slot?
So I'll say 3 and 4 are Esme and Stephanie. I thought both of them have really solid performances. A lot of energy within their performances as well. And I think both of them have a really nice Sophie vibe to them. Then I think it's Maddie. Maybe I'm biased because as we have learnt, I am a Maddie stan.
I don't think that makes you biased. Clearly something in the few short episodes where she has been on screens, clearly she has spoken to you profoundly.
Yeah. I feel like, yes, her acting was a little bit weaker, but her performance was strong enough it should have got her by. Then I think Maisie, again, struggling with the acting a bit, but vocally I was quite impressed. And then I think the weakest this week was Stevie. I feel like she was the only Sophie to kind of have that moment of weakness, and it was edited as a moment of weakness.
I think she definitely came very close to being eliminated. So what I've done then is a power ranking based on their likelihood to win this competition, who I think is in the best position right now and who is in the worst. And like I said, Maddie being eliminated does put her at something of a disadvantage.
Robbed.
Next, I did then have Stevie as the second last, because like you said, I think we saw her struggling in two different areas this week, both in the acting and in the singing. She had a wobble. I don't think it indicates that like there's an issue with either, but there's definitely a confidence thing there. And I think, we talked about like she's struggling to marry up the musical theatre training with the pop vocals.
Yeah, which would be interesting if next time she gets a more musical theatre song. I feel like maybe if we got a more musical theatre song, she would really perform that well.
This is the thing, is I'm really interested to see a lot of them do musical theatre and for Maisie to do pop. And I kind of wish they'd all done pop this week rather than that one stray I Dreamed a Dream, so that then they could all do musical theatre next time. In third from the bottom, which is also fifth place, if anyone's counting, I put Leah. Now this is based on the judges' feedback, because they've almost expressly said that she's not really a Sophie. They're still struggling to see her as Sophie.
Well, maybe if they actually gave her a Sophie song, maybe she could show you that she is a Sophie.
In at number 4, I put Desmonda. Now, I think vocal supremacy, for sure. Like, huge, tremendous vocal ability. She's sensational. We know this to be true. But I think where we saw a few of them stumbling with their confidence in the acting challenge, what we really saw there, and it wasn't just her asking for the line, we saw her really struggling to characterize the acting moments.
Yes.
I think what that's uncovered is a bit of a inherent issue for her, which is the confidence with the spoken acting material. And if they do more acting challenges, that's going to recur. And I think at the point at which you stumble for the second time on the same thing, that starts to be your story.
But as the judges did say, they have loads and loads of weeks left to make them Sophie. I feel like if she struggles again, yes, I would probably agree with that placement. But girl, I think she's got such an impressive quality to her vocals. But then again, if she doesn't get Sophie, I think we already know that she is booked and busy. I mean, she's booked and busy right now.
She's in Aladdin like tonight.
Yes.
So
didn't that open?
Princess Jasmineing her way around the country,
didn't it?
So it literally opened this weekend. Yeah. Then we have my top 3. So at number 3, and this is based on not necessarily what we've said, but on what the judges have been saying, I put Maisie.
Yeah, if we're going solely on what the judges said, I would agree with you.
They really enjoyed her performance. She did well in the acting challenge. I want to get to know her a little bit more. I want to see her doing stuff more similar to what the other girls are doing. I think it's a bit difficult to have her be the only non-drama school one and to have her be the only one singing musical theatre, whether that was a little bit of a test or for her to jump through like a hoop. I don't know. But I mean, she's had no issues thus far. I'd said in the first recap that I wouldn't be surprised if she might be the first one going home, just because the editing didn't seem to be favouring her. But she's had a great week this week. If Desmonda was the one they chose to open the whole thing, they chose Maisie's performance to close it. So that tells us something as well.
I do think she's got something about her. She's got a very Sophie look to her as well. She's another one that...
she does have the Sophie look. The
and I feel like
whenever
it is a sad thing about casting, but when you are casting on something, you are going to go into it with what you think and what you picture as Sophie, which for most people is going to be the blonde hair, the slim figure, the Amanda Seyfried or Seyfried?
I don't even know.
The Amanda Seyfried casting type. That's what you're going to picture because of what you're used to.
We FaceTimed Sean after watching the episode last night, and I had an argument with him about this. Do you think if Amanda Seyfried did this TV show, she would win?
I'm not sure.
Because, like, she sounds great on the Mamma Mia soundtrack. Don't get me wrong. She sounds fantastic in that film. But we've also heard her live vocal on Les Mis as Cassette. And I don't know if on a Greek mountainside with adverse weather conditions and backup dancers, whether she'd really be able to hold her own against some of these girls.
And I think the other thing we've got to remember with a discussion like that is the fact that we're not casting a Sophie for the film, we're casting a Sophie for the stage.
Which brings me to my top two. In second place, I put Stephanie. Now, last week, I said Stephanie was fantastic. She was shining in all the group numbers. I liked her acting choices. This week, for the first time, we heard her vocals alone. And I think this showed that, like, she feels a little bit sort of vocally younger than some of the rest of the girls. Yep. Maybe that will ultimately be to her advantage. But they did sort of address this in some of the judges' comments about saying, you know, she didn't quite compare to Desmonda's performance. I think someone even said she was a little bit forgettable.
Yes, which I don't necessarily agree with.
No, I'm not sure I do either. It is telling in the first three performances, you know, Leah and Desmonda both got standing ovations and Stephanie didn't.
I really like Stephanie. I think she has got something about her that is charming, that is like so perfectly Sophie. Again, I think she's someone who I want to see more, to see if like she is perfect for the role. But I think she's had a strong 2 weeks.
And then in first place, based on this week, I put Esme. I think she had a great week, and just being told that she gave Sophie energy, I think she ticked all of the boxes this week in the acting and the singing. I think she was probably the best all-rounder of the week.
I like her. I like her a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I like all of them. This is the tricky thing. Yes. We're going to lose another one in a couple of weeks.
Oh, God, girl, I can't do it. I mean, I've already faced heartbreak with my favourite going home, so...
You're now numb to the pain of the rest of these
What if every week my favourite goes home? I don't think I can handle this.
You're like that octopus that predicted the World Cup, except you're just anyone that you warm to on Mamma Mia, I Have a Dream is deported from the island. I'm
drawn to the people who I think I would vibe with. Maddie, please send me a DM on Instagram. I want to be your bestie. I'll give you a +1 to the theatre, Maddie. Do you want one? I'll give you one.
Oh, please bring Maddie to a press night.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So something else we have been doing is looking forward to the future.
Yes.
And making some predictions just to see if they end up coming true. So if you had to say today, and it doesn't have to be based on power rankings, who do you think might go on to win the whole thing? And also, who do you think is going to be the next to be eliminated?
I think probably Stevie's next to go.
You think Stevie's next to go? I mean, just based on the evidence we have, I would agree with that.
I feel like there is still a chance for her. If she gets lucky next time with like a really Sophie number and she pulls out the bag and finds that confidence, I think she could continue on. But from what we've seen from the past couple of episodes and from the editing as well, which is also a very important thing you have to remember with a reality TV show, how much people are being focused on, I feel like they're not giving her as much time as some of the other girls, which may be a sign that her time may be soon. For going on to win it, I think Stephanie's got a good chance. I think Esme's got a good chance. I think Desmonda's got a good chance if she can show off some of the acting skills. But I think a lot of these girls have that Sophie energy that, honestly, I could see any of them taking the role.
My pick is still, if I'm going to be specific, and if we have to say one...
Yeah. Oh, do you want me to say one as well? I'll say Esme.
I think I do want you to say one.
I'll say Esme. I'll say Esme for now.
I think I could still see Stephanie taking it because it's that duality of she has all of the talent, I think. I mean, they all do, but she can absolutely do the role. You could cast her in it tomorrow and it would work, but she's not exactly like Amanda Seyfried. She's bringing something a little bit different to it.
I would like to see that, yes.
Thinking back to the first episode, we are going to see the boys next week. Just vague predictions. Is there anyone you could see doing very well in the boys' week, and who might be the first to go? I think the last thing I had said was that Callum, we had seen him struggle vocally a little bit more in that first episode because he was more acting trained than a singer.
Yeah, I think I was going to say that Callum is probably someone who we need to see on his own and how he does with that. I'm quite excited to see Darcy. I think Darcy has this charm about him. He's very cheeky. He's very fun, which I think could be a great element for a Sky. Who were the two boys who had like the bromance? Because I'm quite excited to see them as well on their own.
It was Zakiel and Owen.
So Zakiel and Owen worked so well together. I thought it was great. And I think they're the two that I'm looking out for as well. But it's going to be how they do on their own.
It's interesting. I'm wondering whether we're going to see them both sort of shining or whether one person's going to rise in the spotlight and another person will struggle without being able to hide behind that group number. Someone I'm interested to see stepping out from a group number is Tobias Turley. Now, we saw a lot of him in the editing this week. We saw he was used in the editing a lot. If we're going to think about editing and everything they're bringing in, Tobias was oddly present in an episode that was not about the Skies.
I feel like we have such a clear image of what a Sophie is, but a Sky is so much more malleable. Because it is a slightly smaller role, I feel like there's a lot more that can be played with. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see how the judges react to it.
But to find out, we will just have to tune in next week. As will you next Sunday on ITV for more Mamma Mia, I Have a Dream. And I will be here once again very shortly afterwards to bring you a recap, review and analysis of the next episode. I cannot wait. Thank you so much for watching this week's recap and review. I hope that you have enjoyed. Thank you so much to Ellie Talks Theatre for joining me. You can find her over on YouTube at Ellie Talks Theatre. I will put a link to her channel in the description down below, and you can also find her on other social media platforms. She's on Instagram, she's on TikTok, she's on Threads. Do you have an Etsy store? At the time of filming, she almost has 1,000 followers on Instagram. You could be the 1,000th. Will you win anything? It's not clear, but at least everyone will feel happier for knowing that has been achieved. So go and follow Ellie Talks Theatre on Instagram. Go and check out her Instagram feed. She does some really cool things on Instagram, so go and have a look at that. But thank you for watching this week's recap episode. See you next week for more Mamma Mia, I Have a Dream. I hope that everyone is staying safe and that you have a stagey day.
Bye!
For 10 more seconds, I'm Mickey Joe Theatre. Oh my god, hey, thanks for watching, have a stagey day. Subscribe!